Um, Good evening. Hope you're having a decent enough. I was gonna say February. I'm really off. Welcome. This is a reacting to your comments stream. Again, spoilers should be inherited. The assumption of spoilers for Scream 7 should be assumed because we're going to react to comments that were on the spoiler stream. References are going to be made to spoiler elements of the movie. Someone asked something, and I guess we'll be going through it in a minute. Someone asked why there wasn't more formality to the stream. I had Cody on, and we did like a spoiler stream, and it was just kind of it's what happened was essentially what we would be talking about in private. Like the conversation that we would have, like personally, is basically what the stream was. It wasn't really any sort of uniformity. We didn't rewatch the movie for the sake of, going through structures and, part one, we're going to do this, part two, we're going to do this, part three, we're going to do this, and, have focal moments where we stop and talk about a specific thing. It was more just, two friends that normally talk about this stuff in DMs and things, and just kind of having that conversation for an audience. So if you're expecting like a beat by beat thing, someone said that last time too, that the 28 years later spoiler stream felt a little slapdash, and fair enough. But I think the reason we do that, I like having friends of mine just discuss things because the riffing is a bit more free flowing. Like it, there's no real I get it. People don't like the lack of uniformity, but I like the lack of uniformity to kind of riff and go off on a tangent about something that could be humorous. Less likely to do things like that if it's like, okay, the first 10 minutes is this, the next 20 minutes is this, and you got to get to your marks. Uh, but yeah, there's specific reasons why some of these things don't get advertised and don't get puffed up. I don't want it to feel like a uniform thing. And if you're looking for that, apologies, but this is more like movie kids just riffing and finding funny things to discuss. But I'm sure there's plenty of Scream 7 content out there. And because there wasn't this uniformity, this structure, there was something that I wanted to talk about, and we never really got around to it because of the nature of the spoiler stream. I wanted to discuss an element that, as of opening weekend, there was this big shadow cast over the release about exterior things, casting things, and other elements that really have nothing to do with the movie itself. I mean, they do have something to do with the movie, but when all is said and done, when you have your cast in place, when you have everything in place, you film the movie. At that point, the movie needs to speak for itself. It doesn't matter who was in it, who isn't in it. It's just the material itself. How does that speak? I mean, would you say Back to the Future is still as good as it is if it had the original actor in it? I think if you can find the footage of the original run prior to swapping out actors, I don't think you'd be able to say that. Very different tone. So, don't judge Back to the Future based on who isn't in it. Base it on what you have there. And that's kind of what our conversation was. That's kind of what I try to do. It's not a flawless mentality, mind you, but what do we have here? Let's judge this. And you can go to these dark corners and be like, oh man, it's a shame that so and so isn't in it, and whatever. In slasher movies, you get that more than anything because characters get offed, and you kind of realize that, oh, they should have lived longer because I really like that character. That's one of the natures of slasher films is you get characters that audiences fall in love with and want to see more of them. Billy and Stu are like that, and in a franchise like Scream, you run into a bit of a hurdle or two or three or four or five. when you have these characters that are no longer with us, but the audience wants more of it. Um, the interesting thing about me and Scream is I am like right in the sweet spot. I am just young enough to have snuck, snuck into the original showing, the 96 Scream. I remember seeing it, not opening night or anything, but me and a friend from school were hearing that it was like, horror is back, and we went and saw it and were like shocked. So I've all of my life I've had some sort of like Scream, the Scream franchise should be the thing that I'm married to closest as far as like being able to experience it throughout its journey. I was maybe just a little bit younger than the perfect age when it came out, but it's been a part of my relationship with movies for as long as I can go back, or as long as the franchise goes back. And no matter what you feel about the Scream franchise, there's 7 of them now, probably more. Um, of the horror franchises, of these slasher franchises that go 7 films deep, even with their flaws, Scream has perhaps the strongest resume. Even like the flawed versions, Scream at its worst, whether you think it's 3, 6, or 7, or 5, or 2, or 3, or 1, I don't know. No matter what the worst is for Scream, it's still pretty good. I mean, Friday the 13th, half, at least half of those movies are films that I would really have a difficult time trying to defend and trying to tell you, no, no, you just don't get it. It's a great franchise. You don't really have that with Scream. And for as much as people have gripes, like the floor is much higher, the ceiling is much higher. Whereas Friday the 13th, the ceiling isn't that high, but the floor is really low. So, take everything with a grain of salt. Uh, if you're getting bothered by other people's opinions, maybe take a step back, because we're all entitled to our opinions. All of this is subjective. But oh boy, things got sparky in the comment section. I appreciate those of you who were honest. I had to make a short to basically say, guys, listen, um, my franchise is kind of dog shit. So I understand saying, screw you. I just want to see more Jason. I get it, but I cannot tell you, yeah, Jason turning into once sewer water hits Jason Voorhees, and after midnight, no less, because, Friday the 13th 8 turns into Gremlins rules. If Jason gets touched by sewer water after midnight, he turns into a little boy again. I'm not going to be able to defend that. I can tell you there's reasons why I enjoy it, but that's like, a subjective thing that like, I don't know. It's like warm toast to me. It's a glass of milk. Um, I know it's not great, but I have some sort of nostalgia for it. I feel like in some way, whether it be people who are connected to 5/6 or people that are connected to Sydney here in 7, there's some sort of fog that's going on here that people aren't really being honest. Where we'll get to the comments, but people are like their defenses for the movie are, oh, this was awesome, and it's like, was it? Um, if you compare it to the rest of the franchise, is it as awesome? Um, so we'll get to it. I'm going to have the comments on my the comments to the live stream with Cody on the screen. I have it so that you can't comment now. So I guess you might as well just do that in chat. Um, we'll react to that. But before we do that, I'll give a quick hello to those of you in the live chat. That should be right here anyway. So working on things. I'm not ready for anything whatsoever. It should be there. It is. Okay. Um, Halloween Ends is all right. That's a take. We're going to encourage some takes, and that is definitely a take. Doc, I went to see Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die instead of this. Really liked it, but what happened to Juno Temple? Has she been in any Scream movie? I don't know. Haven't seen Scream 7 yet. Is it Last Jedi level bad? See, don't bring the space opera into this, because Last Jedi, if you want to say hashtag not my Luke, fine. That's fine. But I would argue that it is Luke, because never mind. That's a different franchise. That could be a 5-year discussion. Now, Rise of Skywalker, on the other hand, that's where the cope comes in. Top Gun would be better with Michael J. Fox. I don't dispute that. Ernie says it's Jurassic World 3 bad. Jurassic World 3, is that the most recent one? That's not the Scarlett Johansson one. That's Dominion, right? They've kind of all blended together for me. Hoping for a scary movie reboot. We're getting 6. They've already released trailers, and people have a problem with whether they them pronunciation. But I would challenge people to go back and watch all of the scary movie franchise. Wasn't exactly a beacon of, well, anything. It's a little lowbrow. It's always been. Welcome. Is this your first time with a scary movie? After watching 7, I have way more appreciation for season 1 of the Scream series. I liked that. I think I like season 2 as well. Season 3, it got a little off when they did the old school mask again. I was like, I recognize that, but everything around this is kind of, eh. Charles, you know the rules. You must agree with me on everything 100%. That's fair enough. I'm not doing content creation right, nor am I doing horror community right. You criticizing Jason Takes Manhattan, is that on par with Godfather? How could you? No. Now, like my point is, certain groups of fandom. I once again will show you. I have a certain group of fandom. Here's Baghead Jason. I'm a consumer of weird Friday the 13th shit. I get it. Like, Friday the 13th at its worst is much higher for me than, your casual non-fanboy. So me saying something like, oh man, the opening 20 minutes of the remake could be the best in the franchise. And you have like most normie takes being like, yeah, the remake sucks because remakes. And it's an interesting conversation to go down. And I don't know, last 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when Friday the 13th happened and we had rankings, and Gray had both 4 and 6 in the middle of his ranking, and my heart skipped a beat. It was weird to hear that from a human being, but not everyone is attached to that. But hear people out. Just because it's your warm blanket doesn't mean it's everyone's. And to that, do you want your warm blanket to be everyone else's? Wouldn't that be special if it were only your warm blanket? This analogy has hit a wall. At least Halloween Ends attempted to do something new, and I didn't hate it for that. Yeah, I think before we go any further, I think Scream has always been meta. It's always been really good. Chasing the blueprint of Jason Lives. I'll just keep connecting the two. I think we're at the point where if Scream is going to do something fresh, instead of being meta, they might just want to do it sincere. Just do it straight. Don't be meta anymore. Like, because the meta nature of the franchise, you're expecting something that, like, to expect, and they're going to make a comment on the thing. And, 7 movies now, or 5 or 6, where they know they're in a movie and the rules are this, and, third act. Like, all right. Do you have a pivot point? Because while this is interesting, it feels a little redundant. They can't even explain why the love or hate it. Great communication skills there. But yeah, we'll get to that. Haven't seen any Scream movie after 4. My stakes here are null. Oh well, then you're not having stakes for some sort of Twitter reason. At least it tries something different. It's like Scream 6 or Last Jedi because director tries something new, doesn't make it bad. I like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park 3 is not Jurassic World 3. Jurassic World 3 is the grasshopper one. Rather have The Last Jedi than Rise of Skywalker, and Scream 7 felt like somehow Ghostface has returned. Scream is generally on a downward trajectory anyway. I've heard a lot of mixed takes, not gonna lie. I like Scream Season 2 because the reveal and kills were a surprise. My ranking is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6. 3 that high, huh? 3 higher than 4. That's new. I haven't heard 3 at third in the franchise. I don't think I've ever heard someone say 3 is their third best. That's a new take. Scream 7's terrible, but watchable. Easily the weakest of the franchise. Such a sloppy script, though. Scream Season 1 has my favorite kills. Thought the first Scream was good. That's where it ends. Well, you're talking about good luck, have fun, don't die in a franchise where things get very, very redundant. All right, so chat is now talking about Jason X, and now I will get way too distracted with that nonsense. All right, so here we go. I'm down here now. Hello. Different camera angle and everything. Okay, so as you can see, your chats are still over my head live. Want to make sure that this works. It do. All right, so this is like my pinned post from the live stream with Cody. I'll be reading / reacting to comments in this section in a live stream this weekend, which is what we're watching now. Well, you're watching. I'm participating. Please give me some of your takes and reasoning for either hating / loving the movie, plus maybe where this fits in the franchise for you and why for both cases. Just want to thank the 4 people out that gave it a thumbs up. Interact with my content, damn you. All right, so Vinny says, run into a panic room, immediately leave panic room. What? Usually a panic room has a phone in it so you can call the cops. Yeah, I still have not rewatched the movie. Yeah, I see, commercials or trailers for it every now and again. I wasn't the fact that they were in the panic room, but Sydney said that there was a path to something else. It's weird that, like, if you have walls strong enough for a panic room, and the connecting hallway doesn't have like strong walls where you can hear people talking behind them, are the walls to your panic room that strong? So, like that right there, the panic room thing, like, if this were the only issue, it's contrivance. You need a panic room to be someplace to hide for that moment. But then for the next thing, you need them to be getting out of the panic room. And then you have that interesting scene where Ghostface is stabbing through the walls. It's a good sequence. I mean, it's great for the trailer, but this is where like a term like contrivance comes from. It doesn't feel natural. When things happen, they happen in a movie because you need it to happen. Listen, all movies, all fiction has contrivances, but you need to mask that a certain way where it doesn't feel like, okay, A needs to get to D. All right, next is B. After that is C. Like, it really needs to feel more fluid than that. Not, oh, the reason this happened is specifically because this thing here and that thing there. We got to connect the two. Scream 7 is filled with a bunch of contrivances where the explanation behind some of this stuff is, well, it needed to be blank. And yeah, if you have a panic room, that should be it. I mean, that would have been an interesting movie, locked in a room. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched Buried with Ryan Reynolds, but having them stuck in a panic room and waiting for the police, especially considering that Sydney's husband is a cop, you could have tinkered with that. It's an interesting idea that I don't know, like you're not even there 5 minutes and then you're running already. Why have a panic room if instantly, if you're in danger, you're going to leave that panic room? That defeats the purpose of said panic room. Watch the Jodie Foster movie, David Fincher directed. Um, Most of that movie takes place in the panic room. Well titled film, in my opinion. But again, if that were the only thing, something that horror fans and people in the community, kind of chalk up to, genre films and things like this, you're going to have to suspend disbelief in certain instances. These films, it's another reason why, when the Oscar season comes around and people are like, ah, man, why wasn't Terrifier nominated? Um, there's a certain point where you got to step away from the genre and say, all right, so the gore, maybe for FX, fine, fair enough. But there's a certain point where you don't realize just how close you are to the things, and just because you like it doesn't make it the best. It's the best to you, but it's more of a plurality and not a majority. But we get a little too close to the things we love, and we don't see the warts. Meanwhile, normies watch a movie like this and they're like, oh, none of this makes sense. And when you hit this point where normies notice it right off the bat, critics, most importantly, critics will judge things as something that I think horror fans don't appreciate is critics watch like 200 movies a year. They watch 200 new releases a year. So I hate to break this to you, but mid-tier horror is still bottom half stuff for someone who's watching 200 films a year. And if it's redundant and sloppy, it really will get shit on. Like, just imagine having to do something 200 times and something that doesn't stick out to you. You're not going to be very polite to it, especially if like that's not your bag. Some of the gripes, I'll try to remember to go to the gripes at the end of this, because my algorithm suggested me a thing or two, and I was just like, Are you clickbaiting? Are you playing the algorithm there? That's interesting. But going back to the idea of the panic room, it could have been interesting. It could have been a nice change of pace where you have a movie that takes place in a panic room. Doesn't have to be the entire film, but I don't know. I guess you would want to make that choice if you're financially restricted, which, let's face it, they weren't, and they're not going to be moving forward. But you don't have to show all your money on the screen. You could just be creative, but very contrivance heavy. I never know how to pronounce this name. Xehanort? You comment a lot, but I massively apologize. Xehanort? I recognize your name from years of commenting, but I don't know how to pronounce that. For some reason, in Scream, now characters die from being repeatedly stabbed like someone would, but others apparently have Superman levels of hard to gray skin. Chad is Scream 2 Dewey in terms of surviving things that should kill him. Yeah, the half of core 4 people don't need to be in this movie. I'll get to a point. Someone did a comment about the casting decisions and kind of being I don't know, exposing cope because of how you are with casting decisions. That I feel like them kind of keeping as many people from the 5 and 6 era as possible, and like the Sydney era crew is trying to like make everyone happy, and it just is contrived. It doesn't make sense. That the same way that Sydney wasn't around in 6, that the other two aren't around in 7, like just avoid them at all costs. uh as far as a narrative purpose, it doesn't really make sense. And on top of that, you have this guy that's been stabbed a bunch of times, this girl that's been stabbed a bunch of times coming back and then experiencing that again. Like if you were really on your ball with a meta nature, you would talk about just like, oh man, I really, if this were a movie, I really should know to not come back. It's it's frustrating because Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3 got a little odd. Scream 4 was a nice breath of fresh air. That was like this island in the middle of nowhere. Because Scream 1 through 3 was what, 3 years? 3 or 4 years? 96 through 2000, 2001. And then you have Saw and Hostel and all those movies. And then you have torture porn for a bit. And Scream 4 pops up to say, hey, remember like when horror movies were kind of fun? And it gives you this idea of a change of pace. And I really kind of enjoyed that movie. But at that time, the horror landscape was still kind of about serious and like really dark things. Paranormal Activity was at the tip of everyone's mind at that moment, and we never got another Scream. I think behind the scenes things have to play into that as well, because that Scream 4 is the only one that you cannot buy on 4K because of that one was produced by a certain studio. Yeah. So you have Scream 4 that's 11 years after 3, and then what, 10 years before 5. So you have Scream 4 as this island movie that really was kind of solid. Like for as much as 3 disappointed Scream fans, and again, 4 Scream, any other franchise, I would kill if Friday the 13th worst movie were on the level of Scream 3. That would be a really solid franchise. But anyway, Scream 4 comes, easy for you to say, a few years later, and kind of shows everyone that like we could still do this. And it turns out that ends up being the last time that we get Wes Craven there. And then they have that rehash, remake, redo, rebuild 5, which is also called Scream because that's not confusing at all. And it was solid. It was really solid. It felt like a passing of the torch thing. But something that horror franchises do is they get hung up on things. I mean, Halloween, you can make movies without Jamie Lee. God knows they've tried to off her in movies before, and then you just rewrite things and you just keep going. The time to kill Sydney would have been in 5. But they get a little stuck, and some things that happen in slasher franchises cause this problem. Like the fact that Stu is so well regarded. He's a villain in one movie. But it just shows how much that first movie is great. So we have like 3 generations of Scream, 1 through 3. 4 is in the middle of nowhere, and then 5 through 7. I feel like this most recent batch, 5, 6, 7, is the most flawed, the most, I don't know, tired. And I feel like 1995 Kevin Williamson would know to write a 7, characters in 7, much more sharp. He would be a bit more on the ball about things that are happening in the films and things that happened in the past. Um, Jason Lives, Troy McLaughlin watched Friday the 13th 1 through 5 before writing 6. And he had like all of the lore there and still decided to just do his thing and kind of connect off of 4 and bring things back around. I think if these people just like refresh themselves and realize, okay, this person has been stabbed this many times, got to make a joke about that because if we're going to stab them more and they're going to live again, this is silly. And like that's the thing that you kind of paint yourself into this corner if you're going to be meta all the time. Uh, it's your job as the meta movie to acknowledge that these things are being thought of by people watching. Um, but I divest. This is helping me get through stages of grief. Again, I don't think it's 7 is probably the least strong Scream movie, but again, it's still pretty solid for a franchise 7 movies deep. Young Blade says, I tried to rewatch the film and I just can't. It has no rewatch value to me. There's not enough substance. Yes, that sounds fair to me. I don't know if the reveal makes anything worse or better. Like, how do you make the reveal worthwhile in 7? And if the reveal is worthwhile, does that change the fact that that movie just really is kind of flimsy? It's really kind of flimsy. I get it. You're a fan of Sydney. Sydney's back. Great. You have this like juxtaposition of Sydney being this hardened person that doesn't just goes into like a certain mindset when it's being chased by Ghostface, and her daughter's actually very sheltered. I think you could have played on that a little bit harder, but this felt, I don't know if safe is the word I'm looking for, but it didn't take chances, and if anything, it like took the back door, and the killer reveals were like the biggest thing. Like the biggest thing was like, oh really? Why? Shit. Vinny says, if you're a horror fan, nerd, excuse me, like most of us are, we knew Ethan Embry was going to be Ghostface. He was on one of the posters. He always plays a creep or killer in smaller horror movies. Yeah. And again, the thing that old Scream would do is misdirect you. Something that I've noticed, and it's not exclusive to 7, but when they get lazier, not lazy, but lazier, they just kind of do things where they'll give you a shot of like the dude who ordered a coffee and it ended up being the first killer. Like all we have is him looking weird. It is Friday the 13th 5. It is Roy the ambulance driver shit where we just get him making a face to camera, and like that's all we have with that person. It's like, oh yeah, sure, of course that person is the killer because he gave us an angry look when he ordered his coffee. But there's no substance to that. In other movies, I mean, Henry Winkler in the first Scream, he had dialogue and he said things, and like they played these sound effects when he ripped the mask off of other classmates in school, and like for a minute, for that scene, you think, oh, maybe the principal did it. They give you just enough, just a little morsel where you're getting all of these misdirects, these red herrings, and it feels like it could be that. Lately, with it being lazier, not lazy. Please don't crucify me for this. It just feels like we need there to be a shot in there to show that this guy is angry. So we're not going to have him say anything because I don't know, that would take an extra 2 minutes or so. Again, just go back and watch some of the older ones, and you'll get these reasons to think things, they'll bring it up. Again, meta nature, you bring up, oh, well, it could be you. I forget which one where they think Gail could be it. Was it like her book sales or something? It might be 2 or 3 where, well, she could be the one. And, they acknowledged all of the red herrings and all of the misdirects and kind of give you something to think about in the back of your head. But here, with the first Ghostface, he just gets this close up angry shot, which again is very similar to Roy, the ambulance driver in Friday 5. Not great. I mean, I guess you could say Ethan Embry's character gets a little bit of that in the beginning, but if we're accepting Stu as a possibility and not AI, I would rather the what felt like a presentation of, oh yeah, John Doe. He's, what do they say about him? Like he's got a head injury and he forgets things. I don't hate that. Believe it or not, like as absurd as that is, as much as like this Scream franchise tries to be real, it could be a nice change of direction moving forward. And as they've proven this week, they're making money. So I does it matter if it makes sense or not? If people want to see Stu, contrive some dumb reason why he's actually alive, and I don't know. You have someone that like digs up his grave, and his grave is empty. So you have things where throughout the movie, all right, wait, his body's missing. What happened? Um, it just it feels like there was morsels of ideas there that they were just like, no, we can't do this because that would be silly. Anyway, here's these killers that you don't give a shit about. Amnesia has worked for soap operas for decades. Right. Um, Sin's Corner says 6 was the worst for me by far, which is why 7 felt like such a huge improvement. Okay. I when 7 becomes available on VOD, I'm gonna waste money on that fucking movie. Or my uncle will have to get it for me. I would like to do, at the very least, do 5, 6, 7 over the course of a day or two, and see just how tolerable the movies are, and if they really do stick out against one another. Because 6, I think I was okay with some of 6. As the person who lives in New York and Manhattan, I was just disgusted by what was New York in that movie. That was hard to wrap my head around. But around the halfway mark, I guess after the ladder scene, I started getting a little weirded out. It felt like, well, both 6 and 7 have felt really fan filmy. Like when there's that movie theater with all like in 6, sorry, when there's that movie theater with all like the memorabilia and shit. I mean, sure, I guess a cop would be able to have access to that, but it just felt like way too. It felt like fan film shit, where fan film shit is more about, hey, this thing that we love. Remember this thing we love? Not advancing a story, but more re-bringing up things that happened in the past as something that we don't want to be the past. It's fine. It's fine for that to happen in fan films. If that's what Paramount is going to do, like unofficially, like license it, but don't acknowledge it as part of the lore. A revenue stream is a revenue stream. I just, it just doesn't, it doesn't compute. And then 7, there's fan film stuff with like the jacket. I'm sorry, you've had 4 or 5 occurrences with someone trying to kill you, but the jacket from Scream 2 is a big deal. What about the clothes you wore in 1 and the clothes you wore in 3 and the clothes you wore in 4? Are you worried about those? Because it just, the jacket was never really a big deal, and like sixes, 6 and 7 are really kind of cringy, but uh, I get it. And again, I'm not picking on your taste. If this were a Friday the 13th stream, I would kind of shrug my shoulders and say, yeah, I get it. I like it, but I get it. Saying you're wrong is an odd thing to do because, oh brother, um, what originally heightened the stakes was characters breaking the rules and audience wondering if they'll still live since the movie makes fun of cliches. Yeah, the first one was great, but the rest sucked. Funny how Nightmare 7 redeemed the franchise. Kevin Williamson got a lot of help making Scream 1 work. Like he never thought about breaking all 3 rules himself before someone dubbed Be Right Back over Gail's line to Kenny. Watch my spooky trilogy and Lebensraum for true spiritual Scream cools. Oh. Oh, we got a plug there. Check out Run of a Rollin' Run Arvolan spooky trilogy. I'm wondering if they're fan films. And to that point, fan films pay a bit more homage, and I don't want to speak on something that I haven't seen, but what heighten the stakes? The thing about Scream has always been like movie fans that are acknowledging that horror movies are kind of, um, they have moments that question your ability to believe something, but they've always been kind of with the time. And again, 4 is in the middle of nowhere there because you had 1, 2, 3 for 3 or 4 years. At 10 years pass, we get like all of the torture porn stuff, and then Scream 4 pops up and says, "Hey, remember when things were like fun?" Such a weird thing to say about horror movies, but when it wasn't so serious and dire, and they had something to say about the landscape of horror at that time, and then kind of disappeared. And between Scream 4 and 5, horror got to be a big deal and, moved past being just genre movies. You had things like It Follows, which felt like a slasher for artsy fartsy heads, and it was like this Venn diagram, and then you have all of like from It Follows through Scream 5. A horror gets like this rejuvenation and some sort of respect. I mean, Chapter 1 kind of shook the world. It was like, oh, horror movies can be quite good and they can make money, and that's the only thing that studios give a shit about. Oh, we can make money off these things. And things were different. And so Scream comes back when horror is in a really strong place as far as the genre is concerned, and kind of remind you, hey, we still know what's going on, and they touch on things that are happening at the time. I think they need to acknowledge that, for as much as Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween were kind of dated in the 90s, Scream is kind of dated today. And I'm not saying to like bury it, but acknowledge it. And if you're going to be meta about, why do we need to, this is just an idea. Like it's just something to bring up. If you think about like Get Out, there's no real killer. If you think about It Follows, you don't really see a killer. They could have a conversation where it's like, do we even need Ghostface? And I don't know off the top of my head, like what the discussion would be, what the focal point would be. But you've got to pivot at some point if you're going to be meta. And if you're not going to be meta, that's a pivot point too, where you're just being sincere, like playing it straight and not acknowledging that this really doesn't make sense. These things should not be happening. But and I guess that gets to Vinny's comment here. We need a damn cliffhanger. It's copy and paste with these damn movies. Oh, excuse me. I just added damn for you. Maybe kill one of the ghost face killers in a post-credit scene. Have Sid receive a phone call from the other killer. We need something different. Cody Goodson says, honestly, love everything but the reveal. I kind of wanted more. Like, what else? What else worked? Like, I liked it all. Yeah, but like, what specifically? Everything but the reveal. I'm not trying to you know bring attention to a lack of information, but it's hard to understand. If you just liked it, you just liked it, and that's basically what this comment is. I liked it, but didn't wasn't the greatest fan of the reveal. But I in my short I said it, like, genuinely, if it's just Sydney's back, or if it's just I like it because it's comfort food for me, that's fine. But like, say that. And if it's not that, I'm dying to know why this movie works for, like, just information reasons. Like, the algorithm got really funky. I'm going to do my best to remember and go through what I get suggested on screen like this. But uh, the reasons behind why it works are a little short, as far as I'm concerned. But like, that to me is fandom stuff, and it's perfectly fine. Um, I thought it was going to be the mom for a while, but I didn't think the motivation would be that senseless. Honestly, thought they were trying to make you think it was the son, while it's really the mom, and her motivation was to do it for her son so he could live through a real life crime scene. Since he loves crime so much. Then I thought the end would be like, Mom, you're psycho, and she would have killed him then in the finale. But when he died at the bar, I'm like, man, what is the motivation even going to be then? Maybe that would have been a better motive. Well, yeah, the motive, the motive is like wasted. If the mom is going to be the one that takes out her son, have it be more important. Have it mean something. Lean into the fact that the kid's kind of weird. He's really into true crime stuff. And again, if the mom just thinks of him as expendable anyway, you could have this like reveal thing where you don't even need Ethan Embry's character, or have him be something else. Um, the 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 kid is behind it, and he's the one who's doing all the AI shit because, you know, would mom really know how to set up an AI stew? Um, so you have that. You have mom and son doing this thing together, and like, the reveal within the reveal is that when did this happen? 5? Where you get the killer revealed and then they kill someone else. Is it 5 or 6? It doesn't matter. 4. It might be 4. It's not like it's new, is basically what I'm saying. You have her, or one of them get revealed, and then the mom takes the kid out. Or shit, you could have had this be a cliffhanger for Scream 8. You have the kid be the bad guy, and the mom kills him, and that's the end of Scream 7. But in Scream 8, we find out that they were working together the whole time. And she took care of him, and, you know, he was a good scapegoat. And I don't know. I to cover the meta nature, I've always pointed to social media recently. The way that horror, true crime things get a lot more celebrity and attention, rather than victims. You could do something in a future movie that touches on that, where, the mom kills her son and doesn't have the right, like, media attention, and kind of goes further off the deep end. again, like none of this is really fleshed out. But if you're going to have the mom take out the son, make it mean something. Why just have it happen in the bar where, like, you're like making too many things for the sake of like non-misdirection. It's so weird. Like, you could have had a reveal and then another reveal and that, like, shit, you had 3 ghost faces. The first one really didn't matter, just angry coffee face, fine. You could have again, Ethan Embry, I I don't know. You could have fleshed out mom and son a little bit, where if she's just done with him and going to kill him anyway, make us as an audience think something for either of them, if not both of them. This way, when the kill happens, you show it to us. It's this big tense moment. You give us that, and then we're like off our feet. We don't know what to trust, and then you can move with that. And it doesn't have to be the end. Someone said it. We could have done a cliffhanger. It just feels like they had ideas. I didn't sit down and talk about them at all because, yeah, the mom killed the son, but it just didn't matter. Like, oh yeah, my ex husband too, because reasons. It just it doesn't feel like Scream. If you watch Scream 1 through 4, we'll call 4 in there. The motivations like felt believable. Um, 5 is funky. A weird Woodsboro fan and Mikey Madison, who's won an Oscar since then. Ironic. Scream 6. Motivation is yikes. And 7. I don't know, the motivation of the ghost faces. The last 3 rounds have been flimsy, and it's odd that you could touch on, what true crime is and how you could have a commentary on how it's a little distasteful and focus on, I said it in the spoiler stream. You could have the motivation for a killer moving forward. You have the cold open be something that's disconnected. You have someone that, I don't know, to be modern. You have them like on a chat site or something. Chat roulette, where they're being haunted by a camera person. Makes it a little bit more modern because people don't call each other on the phone anymore. It's a little dated. You have someone that gets hunted down. She tries to get in touch with Sydney or like on Instagram or something, like trying to like, I need your expertise. What do I do? And you know they don't reveal. It doesn't have to be Ghostface either. You don't have to show that it's Ghostface. She narrowly survives. You think that she dies in the cold open, and it turns out that she's actually pissed that Sydney gets, like, you have a thing where she survives, but people are all talking about, oh, doesn't this remind you of Sydney? And she's kind of like jealous that she is the today thing that survived the thing and, actually should be the one getting the attention, but everyone's talking about the old thing. And that kind of fucks her up. And then she gets motivated to be the killer and go after Sydney because, well, if everyone's focused on the old thing, let me go after it. Um, I don't think it's entirely fresh, but it would speak to something that's happening lately. It just, they used to have some commentary that felt like it was, I don't know, it felt like it fit, and it spoke to something. I was like, yeah, it is weird that movies or society does that. It's far less the case with the recent entries. Um, Final destinations are consistent with only the fourth one sucking. Is that the car racing one? The bridge one is kind of okay. A Final Destination, I don't know. It's an interesting franchise. I don't think I think Scream is more solid than Final Destination. Final Destination is more, there's not really much as in the way of story. It's one of the same it's a thing where you're like, "Oh, let's see how ridiculous some of these deaths are," which is kind of, I don't know. It's like the same thing that people go to Saw for. They just wanna see the exorbitant traps, not really giving too much of a shit about, the story and motivation there. Final Destination is kind of like that, but, um, I would say Scream is a much more solid franchise than Final Destination is, which I don't entirely disagree. Um, I remember a scene in the first Scream where Sheriff and Dewey were talking, and I believe Sheriff threw a cigarette butt down and stomped it up, showed his boot. That right was great, in my opinion. Little subtle things to make you wonder. Rest in peace, Wes Craven, the master of horror. Right. It's this thing where you shit. It was exciting. Again, I was an idiot kid in a theater watching with my friend. Neither of us were old enough to be watching that movie, but we were talking. Oh, it's got to be Dewey. Like that moment where she gets a call from prison, and just as she hangs up, Dewey comes out of the door. Um, it's a nice touch where they don't really bring your attention to it. They don't point it out, but you notice, and it's far more impressive than just a dude ordering a coffee looking like someone shit in his milk. um, I believe Gail made a comment to Sydney that once they heard about Stu's house burning down, they came to Indiana. Not 100% sure on that, though. I assume they figured stuff was going to go down. Yeah, this is correct. She specifically mentions hearing about Stu's house burning down and feeling bad for Sid after that. Why? We've had things in the franchise where Sydney's not been around when things have happened. If Stu's house burns down, why does it matter to Sydney? Especially if she's in a different state? It's it's odd. Again, it's one of those things where you could have Stu's uh, grave, dug up, and then just that extra little touch makes it interesting. Oh, why is Stu's house burned down, and what happened to his body? It could be a misdirect, but it's just that extra step. I'm not saying you have to, you know, I don't know. I just feel like they were like, we need this to work because we need this to work. And like Cody said, why not just sit on it? Sit on it and rewrite it. Like, what was there a rush? Did you really need to release a movie in February? Just doesn't make any sense. Uh, um, these killers made me miss Detective Bailey. Oh, is that the blonde from four, three? My wife turned to me and said they didn't even check the closet. They were all standing next to an entry. Yeah, you have a woman who survived four, five, six occurrences like this, and she's married to a police officer. They have a fucking panic room, but they don't know how to check things. This is where, if you're going to continue to be meta, you've got to acknowledge things that Sydney would be like just so, especially because you gave us two characters where the daughter is just so sheltered. Furthering that point, you have Sydney who like does everything by the book and like it's just second nature for her. It's a glaring omission when you have the characters designed like this, and then like they just have these giant blind spots. Oh yeah, I have a panic room, but let's not stay here. We have a hallway behind a wall which isn't really well protected. Ugh. I think I'm more excited for you guys talking about it than I was for Return of Sydney Legends. What's the name of the song in the beginning? I believe I linked it, which is, yep, it's Virgos Merlot song titled "The Deep." There's a link to that. If you no, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I know who I am. I should let my ad play. God damn it! I did not mean to do that. Just another plug for my own fucking channel. Yeah, it's here, right? Yeah. Hot take, but Sam was a more interesting character than post-Scream Sydney and Gail. Any development I get is immediately walked back in the next movie, Weathers. Yeah. I like that Sam was a darker character who had to deal with being Billy's daughter, whether she might turn out like him and more brutal than when killing ghost faces than just shooting him in the head. Sydney at times is just goody two shoes who always survives. Yeah, I'm gonna do it again. So in Scream 5 and 6, they go even further than Friday the 13th 4 and 5 do. We're thinking, oh, Tommy Jarvis is fucked up. He might be the next thing. Scream kind of does that and goes even further with it. And like it said here, when she's taking out Ghostface in the end, like very vicious with the stabs. It's a nice touch where I think as far as a franchise that's 7 movies deep, it would be a bit more interesting to have someone who's, the franchise is now 30 years old. You have someone that's raised by this and affected by it. I mean, you think about it, how on earth did Billy have a kid? But that's something they went ahead and made happen anyway. It's fresh. It's not same shit. As much as you love Halloween, Laurie Strode, how many times? How many times is she just going to be, the fucking hero? It's weird. It's like they stepped away from Sydney in 6 and for reasons came back around and made Sydney what Sydney was, and it's less interesting. That's all I'll say. Not good, not bad. It's less interesting than, ooh, I have this troubled lineage, and I have these moments where like I really need to check that. Again, not saying good or bad. It's just the interest level is a bit, or just it's a fresher take. And I said I actually agree, which I just kind of did right now. I can't help but think all the times in 7 where Tatum can barely defend herself, and then compare that to Sam slitting Richie's throat at the end of 5. Like, man, we really had something there. Yeah, I know someone brings it up, but I'll hint at it right now. Melissa Barrera was not in this movie. Decisions were made. You kind of write yourself out of that character. So, I mean, if you're not going to have that character in it, it makes sense to kind of not do that element. You could have done more fan film stuff and had someone who's related to 2. Although Scream 6, it's the family of Richie who died in 5, so it just feels like they're really out of ideas. Nepotism is strong in the Scream franchise, huh? Kind of funny that Billy Loomis's daughter was more interesting than Sidney Prescott's, which is it's a good point. Unfortunately, 7 caved to the people who want Sydney and Gail fighting, still finding ghost faces when they're in old people's home. Tatum in 7 is like if Halloween 2018, instead of Karen pretending to be helpless, she could lure Michael to the top of the basement stairs and shoot him. She actually had been helpless and just let him walk down there and kill her and Allison. Now wait, that's weird. Did it automatically link? I don't know why it swung back up there. I don't know what happened here. Honestly, can't fathom people spouting that it's the best of the franchise. Yeah, that's a take that I'm gonna need more than it's just good. Like, if you think it's the best in the franchise, no shade intended. I just want to tell me. I would like you to tell me why it's the best. What are the reasons? Um, because like Sydney's in a lot of those movies. What about Seven is best for you? And if it's something as simple as, hey, I like the element of people who have mental health issues as a killer. I, that's something. It's a reason. It speaks to you. But this is the best thing in the franchise or one of the best. I want more than just that statement because it's a really solid franchise. Honestly, can't fathom. Oh yeah, I just read that. We never actually got Ethan Embry's motive either. He just goes to tell us Anna Camp's character tells him to shut up. Yeah, I I, I will absolutely rewatch Seven. I'm afraid for whether I'll like it less or I don't know. Maybe some things will come around. Like I'd like to see people say, "Here's why this worked," and do some sort of video. We may not get that until it's released to home media, so still time on that. As much as I hate that reveal in six, like you guys, at least it makes at least it makes sense despite the performance lacking. Yeah. Yes. Well, the Sydney's back just isn't enough for me. I need more than that, which is basically what I said. Nev was biggest highlight of the film, but it isn't enough to make me want to revisit this chapter ever again. I shall stick with 4 and 5 as my favorite sequels. I think it's an interesting take too. 4 and 5 too. Two's pretty solid. Read more. Well, let me take a drink for this. I feel like the Scream franchise is the epitome, the epitome of missed opportunities. Between the killing of Randy too early, not bringing Stu back in 3 like the original plan, Gale should have become Ghostface killer in one of the earlier entries or been killed off to give Dewey's character growth, etc. I just don't understand where you go from here. That's not derivative and generic as hell. It's crazy how Star Wars resurrected Palpatine. That's not a good thing. They should have left him dead. Just putting that out there. Yet Scream refuses to officially bring back Stu and have him be the mastermind, even when it's the only card they have left to play. The fans would actually care about. Saying it's dumb. He could still be alive when this series has had how many characters survive fatal injuries like Dewey in the original and 2, Kirby in 4, Tara, Chad, Mindy in 5 and 6, etc. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And again, this is where I would say if you're going to be meta, you've got to say some things that we're thinking. So many of these IPs just have characters stick around as far past their expiration date in the story. We know they will never kill Sydney unless it's absolutely confirmed as the final Scream or Nev Campbell doesn't want to do it anymore. And if Gale died now, would anyone care? This feels like another Walking Dead situation where legacy characters and actors get so popular within the fandom that creators just refuse to do anything interesting with them anymore and won't kill any of them off. Sydney, Gale, Mindy, Chad, Kirby, Sam, and Tara all feel like they have infinite plot armor now. I think there's something of a Dutch door to that because you're bringing up, them not bringing back Stu is a bit of a mistake. Them killing off Randy's a mistake. But talking about legacy characters that have plot armor, what they're doing is making sure that people don't say, "Oh, they shouldn't have killed Gale off in 7. They shouldn't have, they shouldn't have killed Sydney off after this point." Because of like this fan service, oh man, this character shouldn't have died then. They don't have to answer those questions as long as they keep the other legacy characters alive. It's something like it's you get screwed either way. You can't win people over in either direction. And I think that's I can understand both sides of the argument. Like, you've got to kill Sydney, and then I could understand the other side of the argument saying, well, you know, how many times have we had characters that we liked that got killed too soon? So it's a coin with two sides, and I understand both sides. And as much as Scream should be like the franchise for me, because I've experienced Scream, it's been like the steady in my like movie fandom. I I'm not as married to characters in the franchise. I give the franchise a bit more credit for being a bit more higher. It's a higher brand than Friday the 13th, than Nightmare on Elm Street, than even Halloween. Scream as a whole is way more solid than Halloween. Halloween, some great movies there, but got some stinkers too. So for as much as the franchise of Scream has proven that they can be rather consistent, I think the consistency comes from, you know, challenging the tropes in horror. And it just feels like lately they're kind of adhering to those tropes. And it's like, come on, man, that's not what you guys do. You guys are different. This shouldn't be what you're doing. And that's kind of the letdown. But I get it. If you're a big, Sydney fan, you don't want any part of that. So I can understand both perspectives. I really can. To be fair with Ghostface reveals, I feel like 5 took a 1 approach, as in they tell you it's the boyfriend out loud, and also it's the requel reboot things anyway, so of course it is. As much as 1 plays differently with the hinting at it, but it gives reasons it may not be, they honestly let you know. As much as 1 plays it differently with hitting at it, but giving you reasons it may not be, they honestly let you know, but you convince yourself not. I don't know if it's just me, but the words don't make sense when I read them. Like, it stops, it's a very long sentence. As with 5, when they do it, I figured that it was the play, but kind of enjoy that it was just straight up say it as a joke. LOL. It helps play Richie likable up to the end. Those, I'm sorry. I have a neurological issue. It's a lot of words. 5 took a 1 approach. It was the boyfriend out loud. Yeah. Okay. Y'all sound like me complaining about the radio silence ones, and I'd like to hear more. Again, just saying this thing, like here is the thing, but why? That's great. Thank you for saying that. But why? What's the problem with the radio silence ones? Because it's a very vague statement. Because if your implication is that the radio silence ones are contrived and bad, do you feel that way about 7? Because if you think all of them suck, 5, 6, 7, that's one thing. But even fans of 5 and 6, again, we're talking about the stories. We're not talking about casting choices. So I don't want to do any of that. I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about like the material itself, not the people and the reasons they are in or out of the movies. If you're saying the radio silence ones are contrived, do you have the same to say about 7? And if not, can I explain why it does? Trey, just saying hi. Yes, yay, yay. Thanks for the love. I can't wait for Scream 8, where it's revealed Sydney's husband has been Stu this whole time. He had to get plastic surgery after getting the TV smashed on his face. Now Stu and Billy both have daughters. They can have they can team up and finally defeat Ghostface once and for all. Like I get it. It's what movies are, and it's what fandom is. Nepotism is like fandom now. Can can we get some sort of motivating factor that isn't, someone related? In America, uh, high school age people are really impressionable. Um, it just takes an extra day or two of writing, but you can go back to the drawing board and make brand new characters that have motivations and make it work. I mean, they've done it a couple of times. Uh, I mean, I'm trying to think of characters that weren't related, but it seems like you have to be related in some way, shape, or form. Scream 2, you had someone who was related to the ghost faces, and 3 was the director. 3 is the one I'm haziest on. 4 was someone who was related to Sydney. 5 was someone who was related to Billy, or someone who was dating someone who was related to Billy. 6 was someone who was related to the victim of 5. 7, I mean, fair enough. Credit for being people that aren't connected, but oh man, I just kind of talked myself into a problem. This is a corner I've just picked up on as I've said it. 7 does the no nepotism thing, but it really has no bite to it. So I guess I'm the asshole. My point remains: make the character something that we're intrigued by, interested in. You can't just throw people in there and have it not really matter. You need to have us have some sort of feeling for them. Ugh. Scream 7 is performing amazingly because of the controversy. I don't entirely dispute that. Believe it or not, the controversy behind the movie has added to the intrigue of the movie and has made people more curious to see the movie. Yes. The issue that I've seen, I'm not on social media nearly as much as other people that talk about this stuff, but I've seen people kind of take sides for one actor or another for whatever reasons. People thought that Sydney got slighted. She didn't end up doing 6 because money. Whatever you think about Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega in 7, they had plenty of time to just get away from those characters, but to continue with half of the core 4 and what you gave us, it really doesn't make sense. I'm not really a fan of like social media support this because I support the human thing. You can just reach out to them, and if there's like a charity of choice that they prefer, or just when they're appearing at a convention, go support them there. Support the human, not the art. So I call me stupid when I experience the art. I just want to experience that. It doesn't really matter who's in it. I'll have fandom reasons for wanting someone in it, one reason or another. But once the lights go down, the material itself should speak for things. I realize not everyone is like that, but I like this movie because Nev Campbell deserves money. Okay, but this goes back to so she could be sitting in a room. She could be sitting a fucking one take, her sitting in a room for 90 minutes. And you enjoy that movie because it's Nev Campbell. She's back at Sydney. and she got her paycheck, because that to me feels like something you don't have to check in on. Um, I mean, on the flip side, people who aren't supporting the movie because of what they did with, how the half of the core four got let go or whatever. Um, that's kind of silly, because I mean, Melissa Barrera, since Scream 6, had quite an interesting 2024 and 2025. Abigail, I think, she doesn't need Scream. I think if you're supportive of these actors, these human beings, for them as people and not, movie characters, you want these people to succeed, because again, Mikey Madison won an Oscar, and if you're supportive of that person, they're transcending the genre. And like, if you're a fan of the person, that's impressive. That's a really, it's a heartwarming thing. Uh, how I always find it interesting, and a little, it warms the cockle of my heart when people who started out in horror, you know, excel, and not only excel in horror, but end up being, profitable and able to hold their own in like mainstream stuff and art house stuff, and like, it kind of throws a monkey wrench into the whole, oh well, horror is different, horror, you don't need to be good to do horror. I think that's impressive when you have actors that can transcend that. um but going to a movie or not going to a movie for like weird, uh, I don't mean to say weird, but reasons that aren't related to the art itself, because the art is a product. They're charging you money for it. Um, there's different ways that you can show your support and not have it be attached to art. It's odd. It's very odd. I don't subscribe to any of that. I'm not going to watch a thing because how I feel about a person. I will support a person in a certain way. Like, if you're watching and you support me as a human being, you can drop a super chat, subscribe to Patreon, all of that stuff. Me, the human being, appreciates that. But it's different. Like, if I did my stand-up set and you went to see a show and you're just supporting my stand-up set without really knowing what type of material I do, and the response is, I just want to support him. I get it, but me doing stand-up is art. It's not a reflection of me, the human being. It's satire. It's performative. It doesn't it's not an exact representation of me and my views. It's a performance. The same thing can be said for people who are acting and reading someone else's work. And to support something one way or another for real world stuff, it's capitalism at its strangest. Um, I didn't know anything about Bud Light, but I apparently it was a really bad beer 2 or 3 years ago. Whenever that stuff happened, and it's just weird for social media to have these moments. I'm not trying to touch on this stuff. Trust me when I say I just want to talk about the material. Scream 7's what I want to talk about. Who's in it? Okay, great. Let's talk about what it is they've done in this. Um, but when things happen online and people are supporting something or against something, and they're just doing shit for content, I think you've lost track of why you're doing a thing. It's the same reason like Target setting up, rainbow shirts, and then they just stopped because that's not cool anymore. You're not doing it for the right reasons. You're just trying to cash in on people. And I feel like that just constantly gets rotated depending on who you are and what you believe and what you want to feel good about or feel angry about. You can feel one way or another, but like being happy that Nev Campbell is back because of her payday, that's odd. It's odd because she was offered money for sixth and decided against it. And the only reason she got the money that she wanted for seven was because they kind of did some weird thing, with the casting and firings, and other cast members, human beings, decided I'm not going to be a part of this because I'm supporting the person. It put them in a weird spot. If Melissa Barrera did not get fired, do they give Sydney? Do they give Nev Campbell that money? I would suggest that they don't, and that's strange to me that you would come running back and say, "Well, thank God, I'm going to support the movie now." You can support Nev Campbell without supporting Paramount's Scream 7. Not everyone is like that. I understand that, but to nitpick about things that are happening with political stuff is really weird because not everyone is like that. And as much as you want to believe or not, Cody and I, when we were discussing it, at no point in the weeks, months that we've had discussions or, build up to it, at no point was it, oh man, it's going to be good because of insert actor here. Oh man, it's going to be bad because insert actor here. It was more all right, so you're kind of shifting chairs around a bit. Why don't you take a step back and really work on things? Because, you had major characters in your piece of art that you just kind of kept moving forward. And I feel like if half of your cast is not there anymore, you would really kind of want to take time to repivot things and not have this this factory type, got to pump out more stuff because money. Hollywood at its worst is just another, factory pumping out shit to sell. And we lose touch at times with things that, art is supposed to be, challenging, and it serves many different purposes for everyone. I think if I were Hollywood, I would be nervous because, you have all of these people that are doing things that don't need Hollywood to be impressive. There's plenty of media all over the place. And I guess the long and short of it is if you're watching Hollywood stuff for your political support system, one way or another, you're not opening yourself up to better material. One way or another. Again, I'm just talking about the material. Don't really have a stance one way or another, either side. But we've been accused of different. I feel like I keep commenting, but seeing someone in chat say motives or certain things don't matter as a defense are definitely the same people that would point out 5 and 6. Specifically, I'm using them as an example because it seems like people are making that divide themselves. Yeah, the question to people who point out 5 and 6, why do you bring up 5 and 6? Because the only common factor in 5 and 6 are the core 4. Because 5 is like it's like a dry rebootquel of 1/4. So did it really miss that hard? There is also something off in the way they showed Stu's place. Example, it's sitting out in the middle of nowhere, no trees, no sign of a neighborhood. It's just there. And the layout in the inside is off too. This led me to believe that it might be a replica, not the real thing. Is this your first time watching movies? Yeah, I just think the production, the first Stu house was built for the film too. I don't know if last time we saw that house was, I guess 5. We saw it in 5. I don't know if at all I noticed the surrounding. I'm trying to think. In Scream 1, you didn't really see much of the neighborhood either. But I guess I'll try to keep track of that. I guess if you're, man, all right. So I guess if you're trying to make a Airbnb something of a tourist attraction, maybe you would kind of replicate it and have it be more of a museum-y type place. So maybe there was work done. Like if that's like one of your main nitpicks, the movie did great. Like if your issue with Scream 7 is Stu's house looked like a replica, dude, I would love to experience Scream 7 the way you did, because that to me is not worth getting that bothered by. Again, Jason turns into a little boy with different clothes when sewer water hits him. Remember that. So if you feel like I'm targeting you, just remember that. Keep that in the back of your head. 134. I think you guys have to realize everyone is not as online as we are. I believe it or not, I'm not as online as I am. Social media, at least. Go ahead and tell me when the last time I posted on Twitter was. I've had multiple family members, cousins, my sister, that are super hyped for this movie. It's not a political thing at all. It's as simple as Sid is back and the marketing was really good for the movie. Yeah, that's a problem as far as studios not learning lessons. Rise of Skywalker just gave us shit we knew, and they didn't give. That's another movie that desperately should have been delayed. With the backlash of Last Jedi, which is a rather well-made movie, if I do say so, with the amount of backlash and the pivot they do from Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker should have taken 2 or 3 years to just rewrite it around. But instead, hey, here's Lando, here's Palpatine. He's just alive because we need that character because you know and love that character, right? Normies are just, it's weird. Television has become what movies were, and movies are what television was. Television was just, hey, it's the same character. I get to see them and settle in, and this is my comfy spot. Sunday night at 10, I'm gonna watch my favorite insert television series here. I get to spend 15 weeks with this character. And movies was more here's a thing, come back next time for a different thing. But television has kind of been like, all right, well, here's an anthology thing, come back next season for a different thing. And movies have been, hey man, we're going to do 15 of these. Aren't you excited for this thing that you know and love? And the fans are eating it up. So I don't know, it's kind of depressing to me, but it made money like gangbusters. I tremendously hope it's not due to political stuff, because again, you're supporting art for some political thing, and I don't know. If you're using your money to support political things, why not put it into political things and not art? I feel they should have made Stu the third killer instead of the blonde lady. That removes a lot of the lazy AI stuff, in my opinion. Plus, the reveal is way better. They literally had an explanation for how he did come back, and they just made it AI. Yeah. I feel it also makes the motivations way better. He's out for revenge, and the other two are his friends along for the ride, like Stu was in the first movie. Yeah. You talk about him being John Doe. You could have just carried that further. You could have just had that be the thing. And fuck, if you want to make more money off it, don't totally explain it. Have a cliffhanger that, Stu will be back in part 8. How is he alive? Come back next time. And we give ourselves another year to figure out how to write this. I don't know, like you bring it up, but then you don't follow through on it. It's like, nah, that's silly. Like, yeah, it's silly, but you did it for half the movie. Mental health is a 108-hour topic that is way too difficult to describe. Military, hospital, veterans, homeless. I'm a military veteran from over 30 years ago. Many people have had it worse than me, but to this day, I'm still somehow living through it. God bless. Yeah, so I guess it's, I guess it's a bit, it's a little bit hack to have, crazy killer. And I don't think Scream 7 did that so much, but to have everyone like meet up at a mental facility and kind of team up without much explanation, just kind of like a shoulder shrug, like, hey, they're crazy people. It's not enough. I'm wondering if they were worried about explaining and making it too One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But if you're going to bring it up, if you're going to acknowledge, these people are from a mental facility, you just go full bore into it. No surprise, there's no meta commentary within this entry, as well as Scream 6. Scream 6 has like the museum, the theater full of trinkets. That's pretty meta. It's things within the movie. Everything regarding horror and film climate was discussed in 5, despite being an average film. Creatively, this franchise is done. All they have left is set pieces, gore, and whodunit element, which at this point is poorly done throughout the latest entries. Scream 6 had strong set piece and New York. And the most effective suspense sequences since the second movie. See, like, this is explained. This is their reasoning, and I appreciate it. I may not agree with it, but at least, okay, this is why I feel this way. And it actually made a point up front about movies and meta commentary being irrelevant to those killers, and therefore that story. I also really like the main characters. I think there's some value to mine out of the series still, even without the same tongue-in-cheek meta stuff. There's still plenty of room for satire and commentary beyond strictly horror flicks. I thought Scream 4 and 5 did well with that, whereas Scream 6 pointedly didn't bother. Yeah. I'm not as hard on it as you guys, but it most definitely has its issues. Did anyone feel like the entire time that Stu should have been revealed as the killer and being alive, but by doing that, it would have just been too obvious? I was really hoping that he would be revealed as being alive. Could there still be the possibility that Ghostface hospital worker, sad, I don't even remember his name, nor do I just keep calling him Dutch because he's Dutch, could have been telling the truth about Stu being a John Doe at the hospital? Yeah, they rushed through so many of those things. Stu may actually be alive. Could Stu have been the one that burned down the house, or are we just grasping at straws now? Yeah, a lot of the things that happen in 7 just feel like we need this to happen because we need it to happen. Not here's the reason why it happened. It just feels like if you ask the people behind it, why is this the thing? Why is A the thing that happens before C? Well, because we need to get to B. Not B happens, so, we had to make sure that A was this, and like it just it could be the most contrived movie in the franchise. Before I write this, I wanted to comment. I totally agree with you guys and felt the same about the film. Usually, meta commentaries target at Hollywood being the villain. So, in a sense, I think they were trying to use Ghostface as the vessel for Hollywood wanting Nev back. That could have been massaged a bit more to have it hit harder. If it were flipped about the message, if it were flipped and the message was Nev should have did it, then it would be shitting on 6. You have to not like 6 to enjoy 7 if that were the case. I feel like that's kind of the thing. I haven't seen very many people saying 6 sucks, 7 sucks. I feel like there's this thing where it's I liked 7, 6 sucks, or the occasional I liked 7, 5 and 6 suck. It's interesting, and I can't help but think there's there's a bit of social media brain to that because it sounds like it because Sid's in 5 too. One comment of a thought that dawned on me. I think this movie is a Batman angle. It's trying to say that Sydney creates her own villains. This woman read her book and got the wrong message from it and became a ghost face. It's still not good. Yeah, but it troubles me that Kevin Williamson wrote the first one and it was really, really, I mean, it rearranged the slasher franchise. Like the slasher subgenre got rejuvenated because of Scream 1. That same guy is here and directs, isn't the sole main writer on 7 and can't get to those things. You can't explore that in a more precise fashion. My new favorite thing about Scream 7, the Ice Nine Kills song. And yeah, McKenna Grace is in that more than she is in the movie. Scream 7's a money grab for sure. I'm a casual Scream/horror watcher. I was 26 when Scream came out in 96. Wow. So I can't say I grew up watching them. I find it interesting that those who like Scream 7 won't listen to criticism of the movie. I agree. It seems there are problems with this movie that need to be addressed before the next installment. How much more story can they squeeze out of Sydney? Scream needs to move on. And yeah, to that point, if you're going to say, well, it's making a ton of money, what that tells the studios and the people behind the film is it doesn't matter what we do. As long as we give them blank, blank, and blank, they'll show up. And that's a problem because if you're asked about problems with the movie and your first response is, well, it made money. My next question would be, are you investing in stock of the studio? Because when I watch a movie for 2 hours, when I leave, my first thought isn't, man, I sure hope that movie made money, and not, man, that sucked, or that was great. It's a weird first thing to say. It's doing well. Okay, but did you like it? Did it work for you? I don't know. There's problems with just celebrating the fact that it's making money because without acknowledging that it's again, I'll say it again, the theme of the episode. It's quite contrived. And it's the most Scream has been contrived, but it is the best performing sequel after a week. What it tells people behind the scenes is we don't need to stop and write a better story. We don't need to stop and take a minute and make sure that our characters work. We could just do whatever we want as long as people have the things they want to see. They don't care if it's good or not, and they'll pay to see it. You're going to get screwed over at some point doing that. and Hollywood does not learn. How in the hell were they pushing nostalgia, especially for this one when Scream 5 exists? Y'all might want to rewatch it sometimes. Exactly the plot of Scream 5 and 6, literally the same plot of 3 and 4. We're making / finishing a movie. Yeah, that's, again, if you're going to be meta, you've got to acknowledge the fact that this shit is repetitive. She's mad at her for writing the book that made her kill her husband and go crazy. LOL. This is an interesting take. My biggest issue with Scream 7, and I don't hear anyone talking about it, is what felt like was the camera was too close up all the time. Maybe it's because I don't watch many movies in theater, but it was distracting. Kevin Williamson, not known as a director. I don't recall very many close-ups, but it's a direction, cinematography choice. I don't remember it being distracting. Usually when there's like excessive dolly zooms or certain camera movements, I'll notice it. But close-ups, usually in a movie, if you're trying to get close to a subject, you're wanting that emotion. You're getting close to their face to see that, you know, they're experiencing some sort of emotion. I don't recall it being too close up throughout the movie, but it's been a while. Personally, I enjoyed it. It's my third worst. Objectively, it's by far the worst written. So someone who thinks it's not the worst, but thinks it's the worst written. So using the word objectively, I just prefer the tone and location of this quiet town to the Hollywood setting of 3 or college setting of 2. Just personal taste. Can't argue with any of the problems you bring up. Thanks for doing this video, man. Love hearing your thoughts. See, honest, respect. The worst thing about the reveal is how rushed it was. Within 5 minutes of her revealing herself, she was dead. Yep. If they added 5 minutes to the ending, plus give her a couple of more scenes earlier in the film, then this could have been a good movie, plus killed a couple of important characters and ditched the CGI. Oh yeah, the CGI. There's a good movie in here, but I feel like it's trapped inside of a bad movie. Yeah, I don't dispute that. That's long. This movie was meta beyond belief. It was a live-action Scooby-Doo episode, Gail arriving in a van with twins. Watch old Scooby-Doo episodes, how ridiculous the reveals are, then compare it to this. Down to Matthew Lillard appearance in both franchises. And the hilarious parallels to Serial Mom. Serial Mom, also notable for Matthew Lillard. And Ricky Lake. Okay. No, I did it again. I did it again. Now it's not working. You would think I know how to do things on YouTube. Yeah, now everything's out of order again. What the fuck? I know for a fact I read some of these before the other ones. At one point during the film, I thought Tatum was the killer since her mom wasn't willing to open up about her trauma. She wanted to be better. She wanted to better understand what her mother went through to cause trauma again. Wild thought, I know. I also thought the kids were in on it. The killers and motivation were the lowest part of this movie. Otherwise, great. That'd be, I mean, great. I'm curious if Tatum was the killers, does that like redeem it wholesale? I mean, if you already think it's great. And this is the most honest, appreciative thing that someone said. I'm not going to beat around the bush or lie that this movie does not have glaring issues. These are just my comfort movies. all I'm saying. I get it. It's fine. There's stuff that I watch that I wouldn't want to admit to people. Like you with Jason, I would just want to see Ghostface doing his thing. It dawned on me ever since 5, the third acts have been getting increasingly worse, and maybe that was the magic of the late Wes Craven. Yes, the first 3 films in this series in particular have been with me through thick and thin. I'll be eternally grateful and indebted for that. No hate for the people that dislike. At the end of the day, it's just a movie. The other thing is, it doesn't, the things that you love, they're still there. Like if 1 is your favorite, 2 is your favorite, 3 is your favorite, and like you just want more of that, a new thing with those people that isn't quite as good, it doesn't match whatever that special thing is to you. It's just those people. My request of people would always be, right, if you're like having some sort of nostalgia for people, tell me why, if you have a chance to go back and watch something, you don't watch new version of nostalgia, you watch old version of nostalgia. And I think there's something to that where it's just, jangling keys. Look, the thing you like, where I think if we were all honest with ourselves, yeah, the thing I like, but here's the thing I like that I really like. Here's the movie, the original thing that I like. Oh, okay, here we go. When a review, quotation marks, starts with the stupid Melissa story, you already know his rant was ready to go before the film even came out. Scream 7 was a masterpiece compared to 5 and 6. I don't know. So 7 replies here. I said, huh? Which review are you referring? I don't know if they were talking about Cody or what, but never really responded. So this person here responds and says, thank you. People are delusional, man. I get like really short sentences. What do you mean? People are delusional about 5 and 6 being bad compared to 7? It's funny that people like reply to one piece of a statement. Yeah, so it's a talking point a lot of fans who are working overtime to defend this movie is using. He's saying that you're biased because of what happens to Melissa Barrera. At no point do I think Cody might have brought it up, but what we brought up was like casting and not for any reason. Just these people are in this movie. Not they should be in the movie. They shouldn't be in the movie. I don't think it gets brought up. It certainly doesn't start with the stupid Melissa story. And the stupid Melissa story isn't like the details of the story. I don't know if like that's just like a bot comment, but did you watch? Because you say something about the beginning and it's not represented in the beginning of this video. And I say that here. We didn't even discuss that. I went to the point of saying, leave all the new people out of it, but having the twins in it sticks out like a sore thumb. I'm not even trying to discuss political outside production stuff from a story perspective. Why does this make sense? Why does it matter? Doesn't matter to them. You can have the most logical reply, and they will still accuse you of being biased. It's a disingenuous argument. The Melissa fanboys are not exactly objective, and many of them review bomb the movie without watching it. Again, what does that have to do with this? It's weird. I mean, it's an experience to me. It's a new experience where people show up and say, yeah, well, you're one of these things. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist, but I'm not either. We're not either. Are you watching, or are you just showing up on everything and saying a thing? Because you're manufacturing a story by doing that. And that's where negativity comes from. It's it's a bad look, just running around saying shit one way or another. So all the bad reviews for the film are from Melissa Barrera fans. Give me a break. Aaron says best kills of the franchise, worst story and reveal. Most blood of the franchise. I think there's better. Like, I think kills are better explored in other movies. I just feel like this is like the bloodiest it's been. The more I think about it, the more annoyed I am. There are so many unbelievable, laughably stupid things that happened. The way Mark didn't just shoot Ghostface when he had the easiest shot of all time. Yeah, I'm really, I don't know. If you want to watch Scream 7 with me, let me know in a comment, not a live chat. Maybe when it comes out on VOD, we could take notes about things that don't make sense. I'm sure might need 2 pages for that, or maybe not. I'll be honest. If I feel that I was being hard on it, I'll say that. The one thing you got to give me is I'm not here to win sides. I've said I'm wrong quite a few times in the past, and I certainly can be wrong. Just subjective stuff. But yeah, there's a lot to take notes from. So I'm sorry. I thought it was better than Scream 6. I just can't with that movie. It annoys me so much. It's short, but I okay. I don't eye this movie. I don't think this movie, I don't like this movie annoy me too. It's just I love this. I don't love the series, but it don't know. Maybe I need to slow down. Felt like the movie was fine, just another good but standard Scream sequel. The series has built in a basic slasher mystery formula, and the sequels have pretty much been the same thing overall to me. Only really 6 felt somewhat different because it seemed to have a bigger focus on action to me. The worst part of 7 was the reveal and the killer's motivation. That was horrible. But besides that, it was just another basic Scream film. I don't think that's fair to Scream. I don't think Scream is basic. I think if you watch like Friday the 13th and then Scream, you watch Prom Night and then Scream, Urban Legend and then Scream, you realize that there's something extra in that Scream batter. I don't think that's fair. Of course, if you're not really a horror fan and you think Scream is just more of the same, fine, fair enough. If your idea of horror is, Get Out and The Substance, then yeah, Scream will seem basic to you. But I don't know, if you're a Get Out / The Substance horror fan, would you really be in on a Scream 7 spoiler chat? The problem for me is the truth that the franchise can go on forever with how they changed the focus for a couple movies, and that felt fresh. And I love Neb, I love Sydney, I love Scream, but switching back to will kill the franchise because we can just never move forward. Also, I need people to stop pretending this is great and pure and good, pure. The company behind the movies did Nev wrong the first. See, this is the first time someone's actually commented on, a film ago. You guys hated the people that were making the movie because they fucked Nev Campbell over. The only reason they paid her was because they fucked themselves over. It's weird. It's weird how quickly, as long as I'm getting the thing I want, all the things that are wrong don't matter. I'm just here for myself. Where if you're going to be like a moral do-gooder, you've got to acknowledge that the people cutting checks are kind of shitty on all fronts. I won't talk about that anymore. The crew involved with Six had nothing but respect for her, and then the company fucked up with the cast and had to suck up and kiss ass to correct that. Yeah, yeah. I loved every minute of it. 5 and 6 just didn't do it for me ultimately. I don't understand the hate for 7. It gave me OG Scream and Scream 4 vibes. Fair enough. This movie could have stayed funny if Chad and his sister survived being stabbed 50 times in the previous movies but died instantly. That'd be funny. As someone who's been open quite a few times and in hospitals a lot, yeah, your capabilities diminish. Maybe a bit of a hot take here, but I genuinely believe Scream franchise is one of the worst horror series out there. I did like the first film, which I saw in a theater upon release, despite it feeling like a gimmick. Everything sequel to me has felt like 90210 for underage horror fans. Shots fired. So I find myself not being able to judge the 7th film, which I will never see, having not liked anything since the first. I am left baffled with why anyone likes the series at all. That said, I always try to catch Cody's reviews. I was here too. Great video, Cody. I think you guys are undermining how beloved Stu is with fans of the franchise. Obviously, Sydney being back was a key point, but I think the possibility of Stu actually being back is a hidden key to things' box office success. Fans have been begging for that for decades. Also, the toxic fans push the OG fans to really support this. That's just weird. Like, does the story matter? Like, if you just want Matthew Lillard, have an alternate universe thing where it doesn't have to fit in the storyline, where it doesn't make sense for Stu to be alive, or just have it be him. He never truly died. Hello, Friday the 13th Part 2. If it doesn't matter to fans, if they just want what they want, for the sake of a story that might draw in people that aren't the fans, draw in new fans, do something different, unique, same actor, but an Elseworld story or something. Scream 7 haters think this is too unrealistic, silly, and lame killers with bad motives, but defend 3, 5, or 6 can't be taken seriously. 3 is by far the silliest. 5 is a nothing burger of a movie that has nothing memorable except Dewey dying, and 6 is the most unrealistic. But 7 isn't? I think it's strange to say all that about most of the Scream franchise. I mean, if you think 5's a nothing burger, what the fuck do you call Coffee Angry Face Man, neighbor lady who kills her son, and also the caretaker at the mental health facility? Those aren't nothing burgers? I think they burned the house down because the killers were trying to remove Sydney's legacy. What? See, there's like fan service shit. There's things that in universe, I don't think Sydney's legacy is in that house. I think that's fan stuff. That's fans of the series, and that's where the movie just kind of, or the franchise, should I say, just kind of gets self-involved. Where there's the franchise has been around 30 years. You can have a 15-year-old watching this stuff, and Scream 7 is the first Scream movie that they watch, and they don't have 30 years of, man, Sydney's awesome. They don't have that preloaded emotion for things. And if they watch it and what the fuck's this house? Why is it burned down? The issue with Scream 7 as a story is you need to be a fan. It's fan film shit, where fan film shit, they know you know the things that they're going to bring up. They don't show you why it matters. Scream 7 is fan film shit, where the house burning down matters. Again, if you're a 15-year-old, this is your only experience with Scream. Why does that house matter? Why should I care? What's the connection between the two? Who are these people? Why is it important to them? And they just don't do that. We have a preloaded understanding and relationship with those things. But as far as the story itself, Scream 7 on its own, it doesn't have any of that payoff. It's like extra credit for people who enjoy the franchise, but if you don't have that extra credit, it's lacking. It doesn't take that much to just explain and show why this thing is important. Why is this house a big deal? Again, it's been 30 years. Friday the 13th, 2, 3, 4. I want to say even 5. I think it stopped at 5. The beginning of Friday the 13th, 2, 3, and 4. I think it was anyway, they have that guy at the campfire saying, "I don't want to scare anyone." But that same shit opened the movie, and it was a way of saying, "Hey, if you didn't watch the previous movie or 2 or 3, here's what happened." Like the footage would just get updated to things that it was television shit previously on Friday the 13th. But was it necessary if you were a fan? No. You know that. Your mind is like, I already saw this shit. I just saw that thing last year. Why are you showing me that? It's not for you. It's for someone who just shows up and says, "Oh, a bunch of my friends like this series. Let me see if I can enjoy it." It's just enough to inform people and give them the stakes. Granted, not in an incredibly effective way, but enough. Crawling Chaos says, honestly, has any movie franchise not sucked when we got to part 7? I already thought Scream was running out of steam. Scream steam. Back when we got Scream 3, 4, and 4 pleased me. 4 and 5 pleased me. 6 was okayish, but not great. Sorry to say, but it's not supposed to work infinitely. Yeah. What is the best What is the best part 7 in a horror franchise that it's gone at least 7 films? I'm tempted to say Halloween, H2O. That's the 7th one, right? And that had its rebirth after Scream. Ironically, Scream affected, Halloween's relevance, and H2O kind of emulated a lot, right down to score songs. H2O emulated Scream. I think H2O is probably the strongest part 7. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Scream fans. Is Scream 7 the best part 7 of 7s? Losing my voice. If Scream 7 haters defend 3 and 6, I can't take you seriously. There's no way that you can say 3 or 6 are better written, more realistic, and the killers in those movies are beyond dumb. Scream 3 feels like Scary Movie meets Scooby-Doo. Roman is the secret half-brother that talked Billy and Stu into killing. Scream 6 was Richie's whole family becoming serial killers like him. LOL, I mean, come on now. That's fine. It does not change the fact that 7 is fucking weak. It's like I don't know what that means. 3 and 6. So haters defend 3 and 6. I don't know if people are defending 3 and 6 so much as saying it works for me more than 7 does. It's this weird false equivalency thing that you're not acknowledging that 7 is flimsy, like very flimsy. Oh, we have a gem here. The fact that you could not even be bothered to Google that Kevin Williamson was the head writer appearing first in the credits, which means he wrote the most. That's not what that means. And then lie? Saying he did not write the film shows me how lazy and unintelligent you both are. Take that, Cody. You hear, see what you're being said about you? None of your opinions mean anything. Well, what the fuck are you doing here then? Scream 7 still sucks, but let's give Williamson the proper blame? Oh, interesting. It went for a twist there at the end. So I don't know if it seems like you know a lot about movie credits, that if your name appears first, that means you wrote the most. That's sound logic. In franchises, people who wrote the original characters get credits. People who add to the franchise, and if you use a character that some different writer created, they get a writing credit for a character that they created, if you're still using those characters. So Kevin Williamson wrote Sydney. He wrote Gale. So no matter what, no matter who is in this, he was going to get a writing credit. No matter who directed it, no matter who wrote it. You can't really, as someone with experience, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that I'm not trying to say I know anything specifically about this franchise, but there are people, they're referred to as script doctors, that will get a script and work something out and not get credit for it. My gripe, I think Cody's gripe with this too, was Kevin Williamson was good enough by himself to do Scream 1, and he did a spectacular job. Why didn't they just trash whatever if they shot or amended the script that was presented to them for 7, they fucked up. Because if you have Kevin Williamson back and he's writing with other people, why do that? But to that point, making it seem like Kevin Williamson gets all of the blame, I don't agree with that. If anything, I'd rather him get the full. I mean, did he write 3? He wrote 1, 2, and 3, right? Teaching Miss Tingle, that's his other direction work. Unnoteworthy. It's a weird thing, the shade thrown at both of our way without really understanding, what our issue was. And again, no one really knows who wrote what for how much. Those unions are funky. Kevin could have rewritten one sentence, and it could be in his contract that he gets a certain credit. But again, he wrote characters that are in the franchise that are being used in this movie, so no matter what, he would get listed. Usually, it's like story by, characters by, screenplay by. It gets really convoluted when you have franchise people. Not that big a deal, but didn't know it was going to be challenged on our Googling capabilities. But the issue at hand was just let Kevin Williamson, don't film it right away. Sit back. You have some tumultuous shit going on behind the scenes. Give him a year to write a new script on his own. The guy who wrote the original shit, listen, we have some hiccups here. We need you to bring back the original shit, but make it seem like it makes sense. Let him focus on that. The guy who did the first one, have him make it make sense. Why have him, tinkering or adapting someone else's thing? It just seems odd. Just interesting. I think unmasking of Ghostface early in this movie could work. I think it'd be neat if it happened a couple times, but technically, like, they did that because Stu was in it. Like in the first act, they unmask 1 or 2, and it's just random people. In Act 2, they unmask a few others, again, random people. that they don't know. Then the third act, it could be a big reveal of someone, and Sydney does know. Leading to the cult of Ghostface idea, the big reveal could be Stu, as well since the whole Stu is alive theory has been around since 3, could be fun. Yeah, now we're like, this is an interesting take. Hey, we're done. If it weren't part of the Scream franchise, I wonder if fans would be praising it so highly or claiming to like it. It was a generic and boring entry. Aside from Sydney, the other characters were underdeveloped and had little to do. I agree with that. Tell me something about any of the other characters. Like genuinely, what it's that Plinkett thing about Phantom Menace. Without telling me what they look like, tell me something about the other characters in Scream. McKenna Grace's character. What can you tell me about her character? There's nothing to really go on. There's such paper thin establishment of those characters. Franchise has lost its edge with no stakes. No one dies anymore, and some characters who should be dead are still alive. Fair enough. The killer's motivations and the reveal were among the worst in the series. I believe it's time to retire the series. Scream 7 haters are working overtime too, it seems. I hate that I have to admit this, but I didn't come up with that title, and the fucking unfortunate thing is, it was bait to comments like this, and it worked. I fucking hate that it worked. That I think the title was Scream 7. Scream 7 apologists are working overtime to defend this movie, and it worked. And it's like ChatGPT clickbait shit, and it fucking worked. God forbid someone click on the video because it's a Scream 7 spoiler video. Apologies if you were offended by the title. If you feel like swipes are being taken at you, but Daddy played the algorithm game, and it and it worked, and I feel dirty for it, but it makes me think that I should lean on that stuff more, because people won't click on things for being honest. They'll click on things that are rage baiting, and I don't feel good about it. I'm not claiming to be on the moral high ground, but it worked. All right, and then we have other fun things. All right, let me catch up. I don't think there was super chats or anything, right? As far as I can go back, there is not super chats. I don't know if these are a different color for super chats, but I didn't notice it. I didn't. So something. Thank you, Adrian. It's unfortunate that the thing that I learned from this experience was rage bait. Do more rage bait. I don't want to be that person. If it's the difference between nobody showing up and saying, wow, that Charles, he's really honest about his opinions, and 10,000 people showing up and saying, man, that guy tricked me into being here, but I watched the entire video. I'm in hospital debt, so I guess I could afford to be a little nefarious for a little bit. Thank you. Well, I meant from everyone, not just you. The only wait, I dropped a super chat, but just a hi, long time since last, and I dropped your donation on your page. Thank you. I didn't see it. Was the color of this different? Because usually when I'm reading something, the color of a super chat catches my attention. The only good movie James Vanderbilt has written was The Rundown and Zodiac. What else? Scream 5 and 6, White House Down, Amazing Spider-Man movies, Murder Mystery 1 and 2 are bad. The worst thing you could do is a reaction video captioned first time watching Jason. You just like act shocked by things. When are they going to show some nudity? What? Just a bunch of that. Just doing everything I can to fill the fucking algorithm. Yeah. So I wanted to highlight what my algorithm was suggesting, because I was talking to Cody about this prior to us going on, that like the political shit, the pick your side thing was kind of daunting. And it has a lot to do with the fact that I titled that Scream 7 apologists are working overtime, and it got someone to make a note of that, and equally take the bait. Shit. Yeah, here we go. Oh, brother. So I can't zoom up. No. So the post that I had was Scream 7 is actually great. So for, full disclosure, I'm not. Jason has a yellow utility belt, yellow gloves. I don't know if that made the trip with me, but I used to have the Jason Voorhees yellow gloves. My super chat is something to do with this subject to your knowledge. Just resend it, and I'll read it now because it's not showing up. Jason wearing his Bob the Builder gloves, and again, it's important, it's relevant because Kevin Williamson modeled his Scream 1 script on how he felt about Jason Lives. So for those of you who feel like I'm shoehorning Jason Voorhees into this conversation a lot, it's not really too much of a shoehorn. If it takes a video for someone else for you to have a stance, I'm going to consider you to be neutral for the time being. Jason invented emojis on a tree. Oh, I meant, okay. Whoa. So to clarify, I haven't seen Scream 7 yet. Oh, the spoilers, man. Honestly, not much is making me excited for it neither, but I still think the subject is interesting, so let me get my point across in maybe a more different manner. But I hope you still understand my point. So a few days ago, Amazon Prime dropped Guy Ritchie's newest adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, Young Sherlock, and I binged it over 2 days, and I really liked it. But looking at two different subreddits made me get a bit confused. Fucking internet has ruined everything. After seeing IMDb that Young Sherlock only has 7.5 out of 10, only. But to my understanding of all the Sherlock Holmes fans subreddits, had fans bashing the show and saying it was nothing like the source material and was badly made, while on the other general TV bingers subreddits loved it or had fun with it. So overall, what I want my point to come across to, I feel it's easier to like something that you aren't usually passionate about than maybe diehard fans of the thing. And of course, sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes diehard fans love the project while general moviegoers could hate it. But I hope you get my point, and I think it's the same for Scream 7, or either it's just a very divided film. I think it's that, but for a couple of more reasons than that. But yeah, your shield is thicker or thinner depending on how much investment you have in a thing. That's fair. I like how the ad says Dolly is jaw-dropping. I see what you did there. Yeah, Dolly, I've seen that. I won't be surprised if Dolly is like the horror darling for now, because it's got some impressive gore. I wouldn't be surprised if people call Dolly like a big deal for at least 3 or 4 weeks without fail in the horror community. As soon as like March, there's been like 4 movies. They will say blank movie is the best thing of the year. And that changes like every other month. It's very interesting. It's very comical. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dolly wins people over and is talked about for a little bit before the next big thing and whatever. Dolly's interesting. It's very gory. Oh, okay. So there's a tiny little dollar bar. That's not a big color, but thank God it's there because here it's in black. Lone Wolf, $5 super chat. Thank you. Here's my ranking of the Scream franchise, worst to best. Love to hear your take on my ranking. 7365241. Hope you don't disappoint you with my choices. They're your choices. Don't feel one way or another with my thing. When you watch those things, I'm not with you. So however I feel about your choices it should not matter. It really should not matter. But I appreciate that you think enough to give money and then not want to disappoint me. But when you experience things, when you like them, I'm not with you. So like what you like, man. My thing is vanilla Coke. A lot of people hate it. That's fine. More for me. 7 is my least favorite. I really need to rewatch 3. I might do 6. Without rewatching 3. Without an update, I might go 7, 6, 3. Do I like 5 more than 2? I think I agree with you that 4 and 1 are 1 and 2. 4 and 1 are the top 2 movies in the franchise. But it's close enough. Like if you made me defend your ranking, I wouldn't have that hard a time doing it. It's 3 and 6, and where 5 and 2 are, like I guess, like I'm thinking in my head I might rotate 5 and 2 and 3 and 6, but it's not that big a deal. Again, Scream as a franchise is really, really solid. So even when you lose, you're still kind of winning. I see Dolly being another in a violent nature situation. Yep. Remember when that was hot shit for 3 weeks? I'm not with it. Generally surprised how some writers. Oh, now it's white. Oh. Generally surprised how some writers do mostly bad stuff can sometimes still do really decent, great projects like Skip Woods, X-Men Origins, and Die Hard 5. Also did the A-Team film. I thought Carnahan directed A-Team. If it's a retro slasher, fans will push it hard. It has been that way ever since Hatchet. Fair enough. Adam, thank you. What's worse, Scream 7 or I Know What You Did Last Summer of 2025? Ow, fuck. Fucking hell. I guess Scream 7? I need to watch it again. I do remember thinking that I Know What You Did Last Summer did something different, like the thing that causes the thing to happen is different, but then they take liberties with legacy character. It's close. It's too close to. It's not like, oh, definitely blank. I need to rewatch Scream 7. I probably need to rewatch I Know What You Did Last Summer, even though why? Why should I? I didn't hate I Know What You Did Last Summer all the way through. Scream 7, after the Stu's house thing, I was like, is any of this going to matter? Why is this so convoluted? Why is it so contrived? Is what I was feeling. 1 and 2. I Know What You Did Last Summer 25 is the worst movie. Scream 2 actually has a main character for starters. I Know What You Did Last Summer was worse, but it's close. Again, I need to. I really watched Scream 7 once, didn't take notes. It's something I really need to do now with, until I'm on medication again, I really need to take notes. Watching through Dexter right now, throw off question, but are you planning discussing something Dexter related anytime soon? Well, whenever the new season drops, yeah. I had stuff that I was going to do on season 7, but just kind of scrambled away from it. But soon, sure. Within the year, definitely. Maybe not next week, but in 2026, sure. Okay, so we're gonna do the thing that I told you I feel bad for doing. We're going to judge things based on their titles and their thumbnails. And what I searched was Scream 7 is actually great. And I searched that because I watch YouTube on my TV. And if you highlight the video for 2 seconds, it'll start playing it automatically. And like there was a thumbnail that said the critics are wrong or something like that. It was just like, what? And I think it was before the movie even had released yet. It was like, wait, if you saw it before its release date, wouldn't you then be a critic? It's something that I don't know. I really need money, so maybe I'll just start doing Rotten Tomatoes is broken. That appears to be fucking catnip for certain people on YouTube. So Scream 7, good or bad? Review and breakdown. That's fine. Charlie, fellow Charlie. See, that's what happens when you highlight it. I don't know if you could see the little red bar is sort of, it's me hovering over the thing and then it starts playing and then it counts as a watch. I did not mean to do that. So again, the leading question is Scream 7 actually horrible? What I searched for is Scream 7's actually great. That's what I searched for. Charlie and his 1 million views. Is Scream 7 actually horrible? Mini watches for everyday sale. I mean, it feels like targeted advertising to me. Why Scream 7 is actually the most meta movie in the franchise, and that was released 2 weeks ago. So that video was made prior to the release date. Kevin Williamson says Scream 7 isn't meta, but the movie might secretly be the most self-aware entry. I don't think that was... All right, so... that's deceptive. He's lying. That video was released prior to release date. Just want to reiterate that. God bless content. Movie Critics Club. Scream 7 review. I actually really like it. See, the title is different from the the thumbnail. It's actually good. Question mark? I'm intrigued. 8 minutes, nice and tight, in and out. Then we have Get More Done. SAS VIA is more productive data and AI platform. What do we have? 2 ads for every 2 videos? Or 1 ad per every 3 videos? And get that paper. Out of theater reaction. Scream 7 quick review. Scream 7 had the worst killer reveal. Don't dispute that. I don't like that the why can't I do a genuine a discussion? I did a genuine video on cinematography, and Warner Brothers came and spit up my ass because I had footage from One Battle After Another. But it was genuine fair use, and no one's going after someone for showing footage from a movie that's still in theaters. I don't mean to single anyone out. It's just if I'm getting picked on for genuine fair use, then I don't think anyone should be able to do. All right, never mind. My man has bootleg footage in his video. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm genuinely not trying to be an asshole. Do you? But if they're doing them, you got to let me do me too, because that's not fair. I'm all about being fair. Scream 7 is genuinely awful. Here's why. Wait, did the audio play on that? It shows that I watched the entire thing. I don't remember watching that. J. Hef. Did the missus watch that? Next, is Scream 7 truly the worst film in the franchise? Oh. No shade, Movie Files. The question mark out of 5 and the tomatometer score, that tomatometer thing with as much happening around the political spectrum, I don't think that's exactly fair, because people are review bombing it one way or another. It's not a great way to represent whether or not a film is good. People also watched Scream 7, every Stu moment, and is he alive? And is he alive? Spoilers. That's pretty high. That's a pretty high suggestion on my feed. I'm tempted. I am quite tempted. What is I can't tell what's in the top corner. Every Stu scene discussed. My man's an enigma. So it's, fuck. Does that count as a watch? It's not the channel you're thinking of. It's extra. And the original statement is accurate, but I guess when you do a blind search of something that you didn't know existed, God bless getting high up in the algorithm with a video that's 144 views deep after 2 hours. And then this one, man, Scream 7 really sucked. Captain Sprinkles. I need to rant about Scream 7. See, now why is this with as many views as it have third on the people also watched. Listen, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. I'm sure he's progressed and has a very clear mind and is very, very focused in what he says. I'm jealous. I'm jealous because I cannot use my brain to put out words that I want to say, and some people have nothing to say but can say words. It's a sick joke. It is a sick joke, but you know, I'm not friendly. So I guess things are pretty fair in the world. I should have filtered through this. I didn't realize that other things were happening. So it's weird when the search title is Scream 7's actually great, and everything is like the contrary. Your problem is you're trying to use intelligence. I don't have the vocabulary though. Like I genuinely have like I guess it's physical. I have a mental or slash physical problem that the things that I see in my head, I cannot make words. And it's on a platform where you need to speak your mind. It's something of a brick wall for me. I'm not saying that I would be more entertaining or, you know, let me just stop. I'm not trying to make 2019 part 2 again. Oh, look, a super chat. Guess I'll go with that. Oh, well, thank you. I saw D-Rum's ranking of the franchise's worst to best was 6, 5, 3, 4, 7, 2, 1. Which made me go, huh? LOL 7 in third place. So he hasn't changed. So I don't know. If I had to guess, when that ranking sits around for a little bit and, you know, the internet does what the internet does with things, 7 will drop because the internet doesn't think that 7 is that good. I have nothing to go on for this claim, but putting 7 in third place without knowing what the pros and cons are, if I had to go on just guessing, I would say that 7 will probably drastically change in about a year or so. That's all. Yep. No. We're okay, Sean. We're fine. Hey, look, a popular YouTuber. Why so far down? Doesn't make sense that YouTube suggests a video with 144 views on it on a second channel before a channel I watch. Oh, and Simmer Eats, the UK's #1 meal prep company with 10 million meals. Man, I'm all over that. But again, the search term is Scream 7's actually great. And if anything, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If anything, what the search is showing me is contrary. You're good. You're good. I'll yeah. It's not. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I often forget that things that happened years ago. You know, if you're only with us for shit, even if you're with us for 5 years, it's stuff you should not know, and that's good. That's a good thing. But no shade. As some of I forget, some people in the community here are all over the place, and it's kind of like this thing that no one talks about. Like we know, doesn't need to be talked about. There's places all over the place behind paywalls and shit. There people do talk about it, but it's old news. If you had a baby when that shit happened, that kid is in school now. Okay. Anywho, the original. Oh, see, I don't. The original plans for Scream 7 were better. Scream 7 is not good. See, that, like, it's all contrary. All of the things they're suggesting are contrary. Unless, like, in tags, you're putting Scream 7 is great in your tags. At 3C, Scream 7 is ellipsis. Is Scream 7 really that bad? Again, I searched. Scream 7 is actually great. Again, Scream 7 is really bad. Scream 7 is total slop. My search is Scream 7 is actually great. All right, here's one. Took long enough. Why I love Scream 7's motive, let me explain. Is that art? That is not art. Art of the channel, let me explain. Interesting. Scream 7 review by IGN. The order in which they shift things around. What an unfortunate title. My heart skipped a beat there. So Cody is a guest on a stream where they talk about the Scream franchise and aptly titled Scream Stream. I guess if you search for Scream Stream, you'll get more than one result featuring Cody, and that's kind of where I thought for a split second there I was like, I'm gonna have to shut this thing down and start demanding answers. But of course, it makes sense making a live stream where you're streaming about Scream. It's a good title. Makes sense. All 7 movies Screamed ranked. I just asked if 7 is great, what worked, what didn't, franchise feature, revival horror, revival house. See, that seems like it makes sense for me searching. Is it Scream 7 is actually great. This review says what worked, what didn't, and the future. Yeah, future stuff less. The pint-sized terror full plot review in Scream 7. All my true thoughts. Note, if I could, the font is odd looking. I don't. That W and A are really oddly shaped. Was this a mistake? The W and A are way too large. But what the fuck do I know? I'm not putting out videos with 2.6 thousand views. Oh, hey, look out. Who's this? See how long it takes for them to suggest me something that I've watched already? Mark Commode review Scream 7. And so this here is the video that I was suggested and kind of... Oh, so it's 7 days ago. That would be right after release date. Critics are wrong about... So Matt Blood, isn't he something else? Yeah, he's right here too. All Scream 7 movies ranked. All right, so this is 10 hours ago. Horror film stocked. Okay, so again, the search term is Scream 7 is actually great. Kermode did got the review. Yeah, so let's get to a point where I'm here and yeah. So let me know what you're thinking as far as where the Scream franchise goes moving forward. And thoughts on on the discourse online, and does it affect how you feel about artwork? Because I I think it shouldn't matter. I think if you're watching someone's work, it should not matter if who's in it. Once you get to a point where you're in watching something, that should be all that matters. Like you paid your ticket, you're in watching a thing that you don't really have any control over that at that point forward. So judge the thing that you're now watching, the 90 minutes, the 2 hours of the thing that you're now watching. That should be the thing that you're judging, not all of the fuss around it. No?